24 Toledo, WTHO TV.
Channel 24 presents On the Issue. This evening, the issue is Tylenol's comeback. Our guest is Thomas Tully of the McNeil Consumer Products Company. Here's your host, Channel 24 News reporter Celso Rodriguez.
Welcome to this evening's edition of On the Issue. As was just indicated, my guest this evening is Thomas Tully, who is a group director with the McNeil group product director, that is, with the McNeil Consumer Products Company out of Fort Washington, Pennsylvania. And I guess, to begin with, maybe we should, point out that back in late September and early October, 7 people in the Chicago area died after consuming cyanide-laced extra-strength Tylenol capsules. Immediately thereafter, the makers of Tylenol capsules began pulling them from stores across the country. That was in an effort to, that action was taken as a precautionary measure, but also that was because sales had plummeted something like about 87% immediately after the poisonings. To deal with that crisis, the company formed what they called a 7-member strategy group, which met twice a day to make decisions on rapidly developing events. That eventually led to the development of tamper-resistant containers, which is what Tylenol is now contained in. Now, this Sunday, the company will be beginning its first national television campaign advertisement, to, I guess, convince, buyers to really buy them again. But by the same token, the company has already regained its share of the market. So I guess, with that background, I guess, maybe we should begin a little bit here by, first of all, asking you, maybe for the consumers out there, would you explain, Tom, what Tylenol is really all about? I mean, it's unlike aspirin. It's different from that.
Tylenol is quite different from aspirin, although they are certainly both over-the-counter analgesic products for the treatment of mild to moderate pain. The principal difference, however, between Tylenol and aspirin is in the side effect area. Aspirin, oftentimes for many aspirin users, causes GI irritation. Great deal of evidence there that can take place. There are also some individuals who are allergic to aspirin. There's a cross allergy between certain food allergies, etc., and aspirin itself. And there is also a possibility with certain types of patients that the consumption of aspirin can cause a reduction in the blood clotting mechanism. So there are several clinical differences between the two products that for many individuals the acetaminophen Tylenol product is more appropriate than aspirin for those cases.
Yeah. Now, as I was indicating that shortly after the crisis began, the company set up that several-member, strategy group. What were the kinds of decisions that those individuals that sat on that group, what were they involved in?
There was a group, and the 7-member group that you're referring to was at the Johnson & Johnson corporate headquarters, involving the chairman of Johnson & Johnson, Mr. Jim Burke, and several members of his executive committee at Johnson & Johnson. Also at McNeil, of course, we were involved on a 24-hour basis for several weeks following the initial situation in Chicago, developing plans at McNeil. So there were groups working both at Johnson & Johnson, our parent company, as well as at McNeil in the Philadelphia area. The first thing we had to do was certainly define with the authorities, both the federal authorities and the local authorities in Chicago, what was the problem, what was the extent of the problem. Was the contamination, in fact, isolated in the Chicago area, as, of course, we subsequently identified that it was. We acted, in fact, immediately, and I was personally involved in that myself, to withdraw from the market, initially, the lot that was identified in the first 3 murders that were identified in Chicago. Then we withdrew a second lot as subsequent contamination was found in Chicago, and then we voluntarily, and in fact, initially at least, against the advice of the FBI, we voluntarily withdrew all of our capsule products to guarantee that there was absolutely no way that there would be additional victims from the situation. Now, we did that after we had also identified that the contamination did not take place in any of the McNeil facilities. Now, that's been clearly identified, and in fact, the FDA came in and conducted an independent investigation and concluded that, number one, the contamination did not take place in the McNeil facilities, and number two, the likelihood is that it would have been impossible for it to have taken place there. So Although it was isolated in Chicago, we took no chances, took immediate action to take the product in capsule form off the market.
Now, how did the group get involved in the development of the tamper-resistant containers?
Well, of course, then we went to work with a group of professional packaging engineers that we have at McNeil, in consult with the FDA and the Proprietary Association, which is the professional group of manufacturers of over-the-counter medications. Looked at a number of possibilities, had packaging people from outside, consultants, etc., working with us to identify as quickly as possible the absolute leading edge, if you will, in terms of tamper-resistant packaging. Now, that's the packaging that we will be introducing, and in fact, we'll be reaching the retail shelves here in Toledo as well as across the country, well, in fact, immediately. And certainly by the middle of January, we expect to have national distribution of the capsules at all retail levels. Now, we did, as I say, identify that packaging and came up with what amounts to a triple safety sealed package, which is contained in this box here. The first level of seals that we implemented is the box itself. Now, that's the first tamper-resistant, and I think important to note, tamper-evident aspect of the package. The box ends are actually glued. Now, when you get through the glued box itself, you get to the second level of tamper resistance, and that's a shrink-wrapped seal that actually seals the cap of the bottle to the bottle itself. This is printed very distinctly so that if it's removed or tampered with in any way, it's not only tamper-resistant, therefore, but tamper-evident to the potential purchaser, as is the box seal itself. Now, once you tear the seal and remove this seal, you can see that once it's off, it can't be replaced.
Right.
So that, you know, once that's gone, it'll be clearly evident to the potential purchaser that the product has been tampered with in some way.
Exactly.
Now, along with all of our packaging, all of our other it's also child resistant and always has been, so it's to prevent children. Okay, then you get the cap itself off, and we reach the third level of tamper resistance, and that's a foil seal around the lip of the bottle. Now, this is actually electronically sealed through additional technology in our plant. It actually adheres to the package itself so that it can't be peeled off. It has to be punctured in order to get into the package. Again, if that happens, it'll be clearly evident to the potential consumer. So what we have is tamper-resistant and tamper-evident packaging. What is not possible to produce with current technology is tamper-proof packaging, and I think that's very important for the viewers to understand. Tamper-resistant, yes. Tamper-proof, no. So there is some responsibility there, continuing responsibility on the part of the consumer.
Right. You know, one of the questions, I guess, that you know, some people may have is that you know, here you are, you continue to manufacture, you know, the capsules. Why not just eliminate capsules completely and just deal with tablets?
Well, there are a couple of important aspects there, so number one, a large majority of our business, not a large majority, but a majority of our business, is in the capsule form. Why? Because a great segment of the consuming public prefers capsules for a couple of reasons. For many people, tablets are not easily swallowable, so they have to have an alternative form of medication, be it ours or a number of other products, over-the-counter or prescription, so that they can swallow the capsule more easily. Secondly, many people perceive and in fact achieve what they feel is a greater degree of efficacy from a capsule product. In other words, they perceive greater pain relief from a capsule than from a tablet. We also believe that we have a responsibility to satisfy that need on the part of the consuming public, but to do it in a tamper-resistant package.
You know, one thing I was wondering about earlier, you mentioned that I guess when the investigation was going on, that the FBI was looking at the possibility that the contamination might have occurred within the plants themselves. Now, I guess we're looking at employees, possibly a disgruntled employee might have been involved in trying to get back at the company, as has occurred in other instances in other parts of the country.
And of course, that theory has been completely eliminated as a potential problem, or nearly so. Certainly, we shared with the investigative authorities. We opened the doors, and obviously we had that responsibility to the public and certainly to the situation in Chicago. And we opened the doors, shared with them personnel records, etc. Certainly, that investigation is still going on. Our cooperation is still ongoing. We also offered, within a matter of just a few days after the initial incident took place, a $100,000 reward for information leading to arrest and conviction the killer or killers involved in the Chicago murders. So, yeah, that investigation is ongoing. Where it leads, we hope it leads to justice for whoever was involved in the situation.
Well, what I was getting at is that it was not determined that there was anyone involved. So did that, as a result of no evidence existing that anyone within the company might have been involved, did that you all just leave procedures, or did you all take any measures to tighten security internally?
Certainly, our entire security operation within our plant in Fort Washington, our other plant in Round Rock, Texas, was thoroughly reviewed by ourselves and by federal authorities, etc. And the bottom line on that also was that they found, and we found, the security measures there to be very appropriate, and no extraordinary measures were necessary. In fact, security was very tight. Our manufacturing process is a hands-off manufacturing process. Now, obviously, there are people working in the plant, but the actual materials that go into the manufacture of Tylenol are never touched by human hands once they enter that production system, so that you know, contamination within our plant would be virtually impossible under those conditions. And of course, we've always had security in terms of who is admitted into manufacturing facilities, quality control facilities, and virtually anywhere else in our plant, including administrative offices. And that kind of security has always been in place.
Right. Now, one of the things that I also mentioned earlier in the program is that this Sunday, you all will begin your first national television campaign advertising for the product.
Yes, we will.
Now, why did you wait up to this particular point to do that?
Well, we will be launching, well, in fact, we did run for a period of 7, 8 days, I guess it was altogether, advertising that wasn't really product selling advertising, but was more public information advertising featuring our medical director, Dr. Tom Gates. That advertising was run rather quickly, early November, after the initial confusion in Chicago. That was informative to update the public, to update that large segment of the American population that is Tylenol users. As far as what the current situation was. Now, as you say, on Sunday, we will be launching again product advertising, and that advertising will feature the availability of our capsule product in the tamper-resistant packaging, because now that it's reaching the retail shelves here in Toledo and elsewhere, we obviously have to acquaint the public with that package.
Right.
So that's what's going to be taking place.
I guess the one noteworthy point about this new product advertisement, it says it's new, safety sealed.
Yes, all of our packaging carries this flag, new, safety sealed. Additionally, all of the bottles, as well as the labels, which of course you can't read on camera, the labeling on the back of the box warns the consumer clearly not to purchase or use the product if any of these 3 levels of protection have been tampered with in any way. And that is clearly identified in all our packaging.
Okay. Well, so let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue our discussion on this issue.
Good.
Beginning January 3rd, The Edge of Night is back weekday mornings at 9.
Anything could convince you that Sky is not interested in me now, it should be the fact that he's going up to that mountain cabin with that wimpy little twerp.
That the truth is, you didn't invite anyone else. We're alone this weekend, aren't we, Sky?
Well, would that be so terrible?
Complete your morning of drama by joining the passion of Romance Theater at 9:30.
Entirely professional. I do hope so.
Beginning January 3rd on 24 Toledo.
Nice setup, huh? My favorite chop shop. I bring all my cars here. And believe me, I got plenty of cars and plenty of parts to sell. Because you just keep giving them to me. Like this little beaut. This guy goes in to buy a loaf of bread, and he leaves his keys in the ignition. Practically had my name on it. Yeah, and I'd like to thank the citizen that gave me this jobby. Parked it for me nice as you please on the darkest street around, so I could do my stuff. Thanks, sweetheart. Sometimes they even leave a little something extra, like, what do you call it? Sharing the wealth. Now you tell me what they thought was gonna happen. Yeah, it's a living, all right.
Don't do a car thief a favor. Park where there are lights and people. Valuable? Take it. Car thieves work fast. Always lock it and pocket the key. Your help can help end the car theft epidemic.
Welcome back. My guest this evening is Thomas Tully with the McNeil Consumer Products Company, and we've been discussing Tylenol's comeback on the market. And I guess talking about a comeback, Tom, you know, one of the things is, besides, as I pointed out earlier, that even though that you all are just going to begin your television advertising campaign, you all have already regained your share and, in fact, the lead in the market as far as you know, Tylenol is concerned. And what do you attribute, you know, the consumer's willingness to go back and use a product, even though that the crisis existed and the problems you know, occurred?
Well, I think there are a number of factors at play there, probably, and yes, we still are the leading product in the marketplace. You're correct. We haven't regained all of the market share that we had initially, but we're certainly reaching that level very quickly, and the availability of capsules again on the market, I think, will you know, certainly progress. We will progress farther in that regard. But to answer your initial question, I think there are a number of factors at play there, the most prominent factor being that Tylenol has been a trusted name in over-the-counter pain relief in this country for 25 years. That's a very important aspect of the product. It's one of the principal reasons that we came back as quickly as we could with the packaging process that we have now for tamper-resistant packaging. People trust Tylenol. They believe in Tylenol. Millions of Americans use Tylenol. And the product is a necessary household item in the healthcare marketplace, not only among the consuming public but among physicians. Many of your viewers may not be aware that Tylenol is one of the most frequently recommended of all medical products in this country. 70% of our users, for instance, 70% of those people who use Tylenol have received a recommendation at some point from a physician for the use of the product for a number of medical reasons. So. Felt there's a responsibility there, and the general public responded. I think another important aspect of the reason that people are returning to the use of Tylenol rather quickly, in fact, a little bit more quickly than even we optimistically predicted earlier, lies in the fact that the initial coverage of the situation in Chicago by the press, television, print, etc., was overall very well handled. There was very little misinformation offered. We certainly opened our doors very quickly to the press in order to provide accurate, updated information constantly through the news media to the public, as I hope we're doing today. So that initial fears and confusion regarding, you know, what has happened here were cleared up, I think, rather quickly as a result. Also, certainly, the incident that took place that led to the, you know, problems that we're discussing here was not related to the product. And I think the consuming public understands that. Tylenol is still as safe, as effective, and as good a product as it ever was. What took place in Chicago had nothing to do with Tylenol specifically as a product. And I think the consuming public understands that.
Yeah, I think perhaps, I could be mistaken, but it seems to me that one of the things is the quick action by the company to remove, you know, the product from the shelves across the country, and just all of the steps. I mean, it seems that the company, you know, doomsayers, let me say it a different way. Yes. Doomsayers were really saying that Tylenol would never regain, you know, its share of the market. But I mean, you went against the advice of the FBI, you went against the advice of market analysts who said, you know, take a slow and low-level approach and, you know, reintroducing the product. And you all defied everyone and just did it your way. And it seems that you all really benefited by it. We had a lot of advice, needless to say, along the way, from a lot of very well-intentioned people, I should mention. Some of that advice, as you say, came from marketing experts, and truly marketing and advertising experts. But the difference between the action that we took and the action that some of these experts recommended was based on the fact that we have access to market research and medical research that these individuals don't have access to. We have been researching among Tylenol users since the week immediately following the murders in Chicago. And that research led us to believe that, number one, we had to get keep Tylenol on the market. And of course, we've always had our tablet products on the market, even though we withdrew the capsules. We had to get the capsules back very quickly in order to satisfy that demand for Tylenol that was still there. We know that as of early December, the last time we did this research, nearly 80% of previous Tylenol users indicated that they would continue to purchase Tylenol in this new packaging. And I think the market share data that you've shared with your viewers testifies to the validity of that research. So, okay, well, I'll tell you what, you know, you brought with you a tape on explaining again, you know, the packaging process, the three things, you know, to look forward, so on and so forth, in addition to the manufacturing. Why don't we take a look at that? Very good.
This new package for Tylenol is clearly marked New Safety Sealed. There is a warning printed on the box. Do not use if safety seals are broken. The outer box has glued flaps that must be forcibly removed to reach the bottle. That's the first checkpoint. The bottle also has a label that warns, do not use if safety seals are broken. And it has a tight plastic neck seal, marked as a safety seal, which covers the cap and neck of the bottle. This neck seal must be torn to remove the cap. That's the second checkpoint. Finally, there is a strong inner foil seal over the mouth of the bottle, which must be broken to reach the capsules inside. That's the third checkpoint. This new package is being produced at McNeil Consumer Products facilities in Round Rock, Texas, using the most up-to-date equipment available. After each bottle is cleaned twice, a specific number of capsules is automatically counted and placed inside. Next, cotton is placed in each bottle, and caps which contain the new foil seal insert are secured to the top. The outer seals are placed on each bottle by hand. They pass through a heated tunnel. This tunnel shrinks the plastic collar to form a secure seal. Once the bottles are placed inside individual cartons, glue is applied and the flaps are sealed. The next step is to wrap 6 boxes together in plastic. Finally, the boxes are loaded into cases which are themselves sealed with glue to protect the contents. This new type of packaging represents a new level of safety and protection for the consumer.
A very interesting process. We'll be back right after this and wrap up the program.
There's a spirit in the air. Find out how you can be part of it. Aim high, Air Force.
Americans everywhere are concerned with saving energy, and this free booklet from the American Association of Retired Persons will help do just that. From starting good habits like keeping doors shut to just cleaning your filters regularly. For many cost-saving or energy-saving ideas, order your free copy of At Home with Energy today.
Write AARP, Box E, 1909 K Street Northwest, Washington, D.C., 20049.
The Tylenol crisis was the fact that shortly thereafter, there was a lot of copycat crimes. Most recently, I guess there was some Anacin 300 was found to be contaminated. And as a result of that, we also have a short little piece from the commissioner from the Food and Drug Administration on how to deal with, problems like that.
With the medicines on our store shelves, innocent products like Tylenol, products intended to help, have been used to hurt. Government and industry are working together to provide packaging that would lessen the chances that this sort of thing will happen again, either to the people of Chicago or to the people anywhere in the country. We can't guarantee protection against everything that a sick mind might think of. You must help. When you buy medicines or any product, be sure boxes are not opened or damaged. Look at seals or wrappings to make certain they're not torn. And when you get home, check the product inside the package for signs of tampering. And alert your children to this problem too. We don't have to do without Tylenol or any of the other medicines that make our lives more comfortable. But we can use a little extra care. That's a good rule anytime.
No doubt. Well, Tom, we've unfortunately run out of time. We do want to thank you for having taken time to be with us, sharing the information with the public.
Appreciate the opportunity.
Well, that's all the time we have. Be sure and tune in next Saturday evening for another edition of On the Issue.
Laugh Tracks, the craziest show yet, Sunday night at 11:30. Now stay tuned for Solid Gold on 24 Toledo.